One.
Good evening, you all. How y'all doing? First of all,
Good.
Great,
Doing,
great.
brother?
great.
I'm good.
You know, with the circumstances that we are faced with at this present time, with the new norm and everything, I mean, I guess that's all we can be is hopeful. But let's just jump right into it. We want to do a roundtable discussion today, you know, talking about how us as men of color are navigating through this new norm that we are in, with the first question being focused on police brutality and you all's outlook and opinion on how you feel about the police brutality. I mean, because this isn't something that's new. I mean, this has been going on for quite some time. So whoever wants to share first, your outlook or your perspective on how police brutality is taking a toll.
Well, I think it's a two-part issue, and I think they both equally important because I think police officers in general, no matter the race, have a low man complex. So they have a abusive power problem to the point where police officers will get personal with someone rather than being somebody who is appointed to help others with safety. The 9 times out of 10, well, not 9 times out of 10, a lot of the times you say something a cop don't like, a cop feel like he got the right to do whatever he feels fit to you, not the law, whatever he feels fit. And I think that's the first problem. And then on top of that, for us, just as being this black man, I think the police force has just transformed from the KKK and whatever other name you want to put on it. So there has never been a point where we weren't the target. So as long as we are the target and we are, even if they're not teaching for us to be the target, they're making it normal for us to be the target, which is the biggest issue for me, those two.
Yeah, I definitely echo those sentiments. Specifically, I think police officers aren't trained properly. I think that's one of the more glaring issues in general. I think that definitely needs a lot of work. And then on top of that, all of the racial stereotypes associated with us just makes us more of even a larger target, you know, because when they see us, I don't know, like, what do you guys think they see that they treat us that way? Like, what do they see when they see black skin? Like,
Well, I mean, I think, just real quick, I think they see what they've been taught rather than identifying us as a people. I think they just see what they've been taught. If you put on TV for a whole year and I watch the news and they talk about meth heads and they all look a certain way. I mean, just me now, like I look at some people and be like, yo, they do meth. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they got a certain look, but it's probably plenty of people who do meth who don't look that way. But if that's all that's being taught to them, then they already have a built-in fear about us that's just purely based on what they've been taught or what's been perpetuated since our existence in this country.
Right, and or stereotype, you know. They might not even be scared. They just have that perception or
Exactly. That's that Trayvon Martin effect. Right. That's how he was just being stereotyped.
Yeah.
Black guy in the hoodie. I believe a person said, you knew what this job entailed when you signed up, right? So why are you constantly afraid every time you come in contact with people who you swore to serve and protect? That's where I have my problem, because I don't want no scary person protecting me, because that person is more of a danger to me than anything else, right? These police officers don't live in the community that they patrol. They are separated. They have not even just little man complex, but superiority complex. The police, and these things are These things have built up so much fear, and then they look at us to be like, why aren't you better? Why are you afraid of us? I'm surprised nobody has came up and asked, officers, do you know why we are afraid of you? Do you know why we're running? Do you understand why we do the things that we do in your presence? Because every time we come in contact with you, no matter what we are doing, whether we are guilty or not,
Even if
our
we
life
called
is
you.
now in danger.
Right.
Mhm.
Even if people see it, even if people have visible evidence, our life is now in danger because you have now shown up. That is the epitome of fear. And there's a lot of people saying, well, I don't want to walk around in fear. Da, 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 da. But, for example, if a child is around a parent that is extremely violent towards them, every time that parent comes in the room, the child is going to run away. And then but would it be wrong for the parent to say, baby, why are you afraid of me? Because you enacted violence against that child beforehand, and the child doesn't want to go through that. So I think with police brutality, there's a lot of healing that needs to happen. And first, police officers need to begin to try to understand instead of stop treating us like animals. Well, you are. You haven't treated anyone else like people in forever. So now that you are getting some of that on your own treatment, start asking your communities why we are afraid of you. And then that's how this thing begins to change. But until that question is answered, nothing is going to change. And you want to know the worst part about it is there is nothing we can do about it. There's nothing that we as people can really do about it unless we dismantle and start over. Which is why I think defunding the police is a really good place to start. Now, when we say defund, we don't mean take away all their money because, I mean, if there's people shooting outside my house, I need somebody to come up. But I don't need police to come to my house because there is a dispute or something that could be handled by an adjudicator or a third party that doesn't have a weapon. But that's just my thing.
Correct. Because we don't want their profession to be devalued, but we also don't want to feel like their profession is pointless because when you're coming, instead of assisting us, or helping us come to a resolution, you're only further causing more problems. Mm-hmm. You're causing more heartache and agony and fear to the little people coming up and gonna make our future leaders or our future followers not respect them and have them feel like, well, what's the point? I mean, they gonna kill me anyway, so I might as well. I mean, yeah, so something has to be done. And like you said, it's beyond our control. But, you know, somebody has to begin to try to understand or make an effort.
I don't know if I totally subscribe to nothing we can do. I do understand the sentiment. It's very hard for us to do something because this place has been in structure.
Right.
Structure has been in place for so long. But what the last couple months showed us was if we act like we have the power, then we have the power. Because we have strength in numbers. And whenever there was an instance where we acted like we had the power, the people wasn't doing it, wasn't nothing happening in CNN that made people break the glass. They just wanted to wild out. And wasn't nothing nobody could do because they felt like they had the power to do that. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't always mean in a physical realm, but I do think that this last couple months behind the scenes, they had to do some restructuring and figure out, okay, they got a little more power than well, they know how much power we got. They understand a little bit more of their power than they did previously. And then once we can hammer that out, and once we can have our own power, or we can begin to pose a threat to their power, then something can be done with it.
Yeah, and I was just gonna ask, what do you think had the greatest impact on basically change occurring that police officers were being held accountable? What do you think that it was? Do you think that it was the riots? Do you think it was social media? Do you think it was BLM? Or do you think it was just a combination of everything?
I definitely think that it was a combination of everything that took place. But with that being said, I still don't feel as if they are being held accountable as they should. You would think well, as I've been saying before, with all of the protests that's taken place, I do feel some good has come out of it, but I also feel like it put a bigger target on us because you still see some of the injustice that's taking place. It's like it's getting worse by the day. So when you look at it from that aspect, it's like, is it more of a physical thing or is it more so of a spiritual thing or a combination of both?
And I'm gonna say that I know I might sound crazy. I'm a little into Zodiac, but not so much. But to the point where somebody said to me, and at first I thought they were crazy. It was like, "Hey man, this is the year of the Aquarius, man. All the real gonna come out, the good, the bad, and the ugly." And I was like, I don't know what they're talking about. Before this whole pandemic occurred, well, it was happening in 2019, but for Americans, and we actually realized how severe it was, or it is. And I was like, man, I don't know, but it makes sense to what they were saying now, because me personally, I feel like you said, it had a little bit to do with everything, with people wanting to cause change and make change, and certain individuals taking accountability for what they have done. But I feel like they're just doing it because somebody's making them. Like there's something happening. It's like, okay, well, I can't just be quiet. I need my money in my pocket. I don't want to miss out on this dollar. So let me go ahead and say, yes, this is wrong and we shouldn't do this because I need that black dollar, or I need that black vote, or I need them to keep coming to my store and spending their money every day. So let them feel comfortable. Let me try to ease their pain until they forget about it. Like that's how I kind of feel, because we in 2020, y'all.
I mean, that's been happening though. I don't know the answer to your question about like what was it, but like that's been happening. You know what I mean? They've been killing us, and it's been well known that they're killing us. I think it was the malice in the way in which George Floyd was killed. Everything from the way he did it, to the officer's face while he was doing it, to the other officers' nonchalantness about the entire situation. And I think somehow it took this long, but I think that imagery really stuck with common white people. Because you tell somebody, if you tell me 50 soldiers got shot in Iraq, I'm going to finish playing my game. Dang, that's crazy. But if you tell me 50 people got shot at my daughter's school, then it's a little different, because that wasn't supposed to happen. He was on the ground. He couldn't do nothing. He was saying, I can't breathe. That's not supposed to happen. That's striking me a certain way. And when white women feel a certain way about anything in this country, that's when change enacts. You know what I mean? And then once they finally was like, oh my God, because that's all it takes. But don't let me get to on my soapbox about, because let's keep it on the police. That's what we said.
I think I do have an answer to your question, Anson. So, and going along with what Jason said, it is a combination of everything. But when we had all of our shutdown orders, everybody was at home. Everybody was at home, and everybody is starting to get stir crazy, and they're starting to become bored. So, and then the visuals on TV became George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Tony McDade, and it just kept coming and you kept coming. And because people are afraid to go outside and people weren't really allowed to do anything, they had no choice but to look at it. They had no choice but to see it. So then, when you have no choice to see it, and you can't run away from it, you can't block it out, you can't Netflix it away. Now people are like, oh, really? When black people was like, where you been? Late. But no, when people were forced to look at it, because you can tell people something, and if they walk away from it, they don't have to believe you. But when you make people look at something, now they're like, oh, let's give them a good fight, which is why Breonna Taylor still has yet to get justice, and why we have some of our more prominent celebrities went to the attorney general's house and they got arrested for being in front of his house to ask him to arrest the killers of Breonna Taylor. But that's what I think.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense about they weren't able to escape the images. They weren't able to escape the stories. So as you said, they just had to deal with it. They had to reconcile what they were seeing and process what they were seeing and make a decision about it or address it, I guess, is what I'm saying. It was almost like the perfect, not perfect, I don't want to call it perfect.
The perfect storm.
Yeah, exactly. Everything kind of aligned for what's happening right now, you know, that sort of snowball effect. Because you guys would know better than me. Has there ever been such a large movement within, let's say, the last decade or so, or two? Because I mean,
Never.
as you guys said,
definitely not.
they've been killing black people, you know.
Yeah.
Only regional, and it hasn't been with as much support from other races. So the LA riots in the early 90s were really big, but that was just black people in LA. But as far as it spreading to other areas, never, ever, ever. The 60s, not at no time, not where it went worldwide like it went, at no time ever has it been this widespread of a protest.
Well, I have another question, gentlemen. It kind of piggybacks off all of this, of course. How do you feel that racism has played a part, you know, in all of this? Because I mean, of course, I mean, that sounds like a dumb question. Like, this is just pure hate and racism. I mean, what else would it be? But how do you think this has either affected us more, and do you all see any good out of any of this? As crazy as that sounds, but what's you all's take on that?
That's a very good question. As far as the good, I'm not sure, you know, what good I see out of it. I'm pretty sure there is some good, but I just can't, you know, pinpoint it for now. But as far as the negative aspect of it, you know, as you all know, I have 3 children, and unfortunately, I'm having to have conversations with them that I shouldn't be having to have, and it gets more daunting when I bring up these conversations and my children are more knowledgeable about the situations, you know, than I expect. So when I hear them talk about these things and they, you know, talk about the specifics, I'm like, wow. So this is the world we're having to live in. And again, I can't imagine our kids' world, you know, However, I really can't process it. I can't, because if the world is like it is now, I can't imagine how it's gonna be, when they get older, or what they may have to endure. And I just want them to be kids, because when I don't think much about myself. It's more so about them. I'm worried for them, and you know, I can't help it. Um, and again, it's sad that I'm having to have these conversations, and I don't want to have these conversations, these uncomfortable. And the more I talk about it, the more angry I get, you know. And as a person that has a business, I'm on social media a lot, which I really don't like to be. And most of the time, when I see like a negative comment or a racial comment, I'm quick to jump on it now. And when I think about it, it's like there's some hate, building up there. So now I'm having to address this hate that I didn't know that I had, So, for me, my mind is just all over the place, Um, it's difficult. My main question is, what is it about us that they hate?
And is it really just hate, or is it like what we already discussed? They don't, as crazy as it is, you're grown, but you really don't know no better, because what you've seen, what you've been taught, what your mind is conditioned.
Part of it.
Right.
Like, it's almost like being institutionalized. Like somebody who locked up, they used to leaning over the plate, hey, partner, nah, we ain't getting none of my food. You get shanked. Then they get out in the real world, and it's like, oh, I got freedom. I can't. Nah, this
I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, nah, this not right. This can't be right. It's too good to be true. I need to go back to the pen. Nah.
Right.
So it's like, some of these individuals, they do hate us. Some of them, they do hate, and some of them are, we're gonna say, institutionalized by racism, because they don't know no better. They was raised by World War II veterans and all of this crazy racism world, people hanging from trees, and that's normal to them.
Right.
It's right to them, even more than normal.
Yeah.
It's right to them.
Like, what do you mean? How is this wrong? That's how they seen it. Like, what do you mean? Nobody was crying about this before. They was crying about it, but it wasn't like this. It was like, okay, y'all didn't used to be able to vote. Y'all used to couldn't have no jobs. Like, so I don't understand. I mean, but it's also coming from individuals who swear they found America.
That's the sickest thing. To answer your original question, so I think it was how we feel like that, how do we feel knowing that race had a big part of what's going on with police brutality, and in the good and bad.
In positive, and
so
what are the...
I think the positive is awareness. Even Black people, which is the most important to me, just being more aware of. I've always been conscious about the culture in my community, but Black people just knowing, period, more about it is a good thing, and the world knowing more about it. But the bad thing is, I look at it like a game of chess. The way that we've constructed the world is like a game of chess. There's only a couple players, and the person who's moving the chess pieces, no matter what side you're on, has always been white. Mm-hmm. So what I always say to white people, if I was white, I'm not giving my privilege up either. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to keep it all the way funky with you. I ain't giving it up. But that being said, I don't want to see nothing bad happen to you. Or I don't want to take food out of your mouth to keep my privilege. I already understand. I already know that I have that privilege. So if I was white, or if we just take it away from Black and white, and my last name was Brown and somebody else's last name was Smith, and the Browns always had money, I don't care if y'all Smiths come knocking at the door. I'm not giving you my money, especially when I feel like it's mine. Because white people have a sense of entitlement, starting with where we stay. It's not theirs. So even when they say go back to where you came from, no, you go back to where you came from, because you didn't come from here either. But they all have a sense of entitlement, and I think So the good is awareness, but it's a yang. I don't know what the yang is, but the yang is coming. So it's like when you put something up high because you don't want your kid to get it, and your kid grow, and then now they can get it. Now you got to devise another plan, and this plan has to be even more masterful than the last plan because your kids then show some type of awareness and ability to be able to get to a point where you didn't think that they can get to. They had a plateau. You put it out of that range of plateau. So now you have to come up with some, so as a parent, you have to come up with a better plan. But as white people or people in power, you have to come up with a more diabolical plan. So there's no way somebody can have this power, and it's fine to have the power. Like I said, I ain't giving the power up either, but it's no way that somebody can exercise the power the way they have been exercising the power for over 400 years, and then they're going to let that come to a stop. They're going to try to be more covert about it, which is why I think that we need to militarize. And I don't necessarily mean that in the physical, but we need to militarize just as a group. So the yin, I mean the good, more awareness, but it's a yang to that. And the fact that racism has something to do with it, I've always been, I'm going to close out on this. I've always been like, I was just raised in the house where third grade, I had conversations with the vice principal, the principal, and the superintendent with my parents, because I ain't stand up for the national anthem. Now, I ain't stand up for it just because my dad told me not to stand up for it. I didn't know what was going on. But he was schooling me back then. This is 93, 94. So everything that this country is built on is nothing that this country was built on, because it's supposed to be the land of the free. But if you look at me in the third grade trying to sit down during the national anthem, and a football player before a game doing whatever, doing whatever they want, and it's supposed to be a free country. Everything that y'all say this country is built on is the exact opposite. Exact opposite. So race having something to do with it didn't surprise me at all. I was already hip to it.
Yes, that's well, you hit the nail, boy. You spoke on a lot of real stuff. If we had a lot of more time, we could do some real researching, because this is definitely our land. This is definitely, some of us do come from here. Not all of us are from Africa. Long ago we left Africa, came over here and established land over here, and we was doing our thing. But this leads to the next question, which was given to me for us.
Jamal, before you jump on to that next question, before you jump on to that next question, I just wanted to say something really quickly in terms of the positive and the negative. Just to piggyback off of what Jason said, awareness is really like it was really a big thing, because it wasn't just the US, but globally, it affected the entire world. Because back in Grenada, where I'm from, a white family actually beat up a black guy, and we're the majority home, right? And it was almost like the police officers were scared of the white family. They were very wealthy people, and they just wanted to sweep things under the rug. But people back home started protesting, and that's something that we don't really do back home. And I believe, and I may be wrong, but I believe it's because of everything that was going on right now in the US is what emboldened them to do something like that. And because of that, legal action was taken against that family. And I think they were arrested. So there's definitely positive coming out of this entire situation, definitely. I just wanted to add that.
Yes, because of course, things happen, and a lot of times, unfortunately, it's not in our time, and that part is hard to bear, because I know I like instant gratification. When I spend my money, I want it now. That's why I don't shop online. So I can understand when it comes to us wanting our justice, and we want peace, and we want freedom. We've been begging for this. We've been asking for this. We've been doing this back. If we, quote back to Tupac when he was saying, "Yo, we gonna be outside. We singing, I'm hungry. Can we please get something to eat?" Until the next time we picking the lock, we coming through. We got guns blazing. Like, I feel Tupac. And when I was younger, I didn't really understand too much, and now I understand. Well, he been on that too. He been trying to explain that to us as a culture, as a man, as
since he was 17.
And so, but again, that next question, which the ladies wanted us to address, they wanted to know if we have any friends of a different race, specifically white. And if so, what were their outlooks towards this situation and your conversations like with your friends or maybe even family members? Or has it even been a conversation? Is it something that they support, or is it something that they feel all lives matter? Or what's you all's take? Or have y'all had that conversation with anyone?
I'm gonna go first because it's gonna be nice, short, and sweet. White people or anybody that I've known that was white has not reached out to me, no way, shape, form, or fashion. Not a single person. And I wonder why that is. Is it because they're afraid of me? Is it because I'm just this presence? But honestly, I think it's apathy because they feel like they don't have to. And I kind of have a problem with that. But as far as folks reaching out to me, not at all. But I will say this one thing. I was on my job. I had this one lady call in, and she was talking about, you know, how she had a problem with her supervisor, and then she started saying little things like, "Oh, is it because I'm the only white person on the team, and my white life matters too?" And I was like, "Man, let me stop you right there, because there's nothing more that I can do to help you if that's what you believe." Because honestly, when that young man a little while ago had said, "No life matters until Black life matters," that hit me. Because how in the world can you say all life matters when mine doesn't? No matter who said it. So that's all I got to say on that one.
So,
And go ahead.
go ahead, Jamal.
Well, I mean, I'm no racist. I want equality. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I ain't no racist because I understand, as crazy as it is, with good comes evil, and with evil comes good. There is no world without it. We are made in a perfect image, but yet they're imperfect. So I can't, I cast judgment because I say, man, that's messed up, that's wrong. But at the same time, I know that I really can't judge you. I'm not supposed to, because that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. But I am human and I am imperfect and I do have feelings. So I do feel a certain kind of way that all of this is happening. But I'm still not a racist. Now, it's one thing if a racist person comes to me and they're belittling me, I'm gonna voice how I feel. I might say something I'm not supposed to. I'm as crazy as it sounds. Don't kill me, y'all. But I'm not. If you're not killing me, I ain't about to come try to kill you. I mean, if you're not killing somebody that you know, I'm gonna try to come kill you. Like, cause I'm not supposed to do that, but I am gonna stand up for what I believe, and I am gonna fight for what's right. Like, if I'm looking at a black man getting choked to death, yeah, I'm gonna go over there and say something. I'm not just gonna watch. But my brother, he's not my real brother, but he's white, and he been with me the whole step of the way. And he lives in Denver. He was out there at the now he didn't go out there marching because people was going crazy. They had guns and all type of that. He wasn't trying to get killed because they probably think I'm on some other stuff. I'm not from here. I don't want to die, but I do want to stand up for what I believe. So he reached out to me. He reached out to my family, check on my moms and my pops, and you know, he sent them ointments for their joints and all of that stuff. So I mean, he has reached out to me. I've had a few other people reach out to me, but that's all I have to say on that, though. Really, yeah, it's crazy, but.
So I wouldn't even have looked at it that way until Nate just said it, and then you just said it. Because I had a whole answer for that, but I mean, I guess now I gotta change it because none of my white friends or associates reached out to me either. And until y'all just said that, I didn't hold that against them, but I should. I definitely feel like I should. But as far as the white friends that I have, anytime I came in contact with them within the last 3 months, I make sure we sit and we have a conversation because it's important to me what you think. It's very important to me what you think, because you think something of me to hang with me. So we have some type of common interest, some type of common bond. And if we call on ourselves friends, then we have to have some type of understanding. So I just cut straight to the point. So what you think about, what's been going on? And then I'll let them know what I feel about white people. I talk to the white friends that I have about white people to them, and then I talk about them to them, just a conversation between me and you. So me and you, Steve, conversation I'm gonna have with you is based on me and your relationship, but I'm gonna let you know how I feel about white people in general. This is what I think happens. And I tell them it's different levels of racist. And I think a lot of white people are ignorant to us as a culture. They're ignorant to what racism is. They're ignorant to white privilege. So I say to them, I think the easiest transit is homosexuality, because they are fighting for rights that's kind of the same as black people are, which is crazy. But I'm not homosexual in no way, shape, or form. But if I move to a town and on Tuesday I seen a dude getting beat up because he was gay, I ain't saying I'm gonna jump in. That just ain't my style. But if it happened Thursday, then it happened Friday, then it happened 2 weeks down the line, I gotta roll. I gotta leave the town or I gotta do something, because this ain't right. I don't care if I'm not homosexual. That's a human being, and y'all treating in this manner for no reason. I can't get down with, like, it don't even sit with me the right way. Not like, nah, I'm not gonna help y'all. No, y'all gotta stop. So for me, just with regular white people, y'all knew this was going on. And for y'all not to say nothing or have no empathy says just how many white people are racist and take it as a norm. But anybody who I would come in contact with, I wouldn't include in that, because before we even got to this point, we've already had conversations, just not about race, but just about how you feel, period, how you feel about women, how you feel about God, how you feel about all that. So I know you as a person, so I'm able to, I'm not gonna say look past your race, because you can never do that. But I'm able to look at who you are, and then secondary is your race. So I always try to, in closing, I always have conversations with them, because it's important for me to know how you feel, but more importantly, I want you to know how I feel. I want you to know that when I'm riding down the street with my kids and I see a cop, I don't think about them the same way that you do. So I want you to understand why when something happens and somebody tell me to do something, that I react differently. And not just me, well, why that black dude who you don't know, why is he cussing him out? He only asked him to get off the sidewalk because he told him to do it in the way that he told him to do it, because he think he owns him. So I want you to understand, not just me, but I want to represent a small portion of our people when I have a relationship with somebody of the opposite race.
Well, same as you guys. None of my white friends or colleagues even mentioned it at all. I was only able to have in the office only one of my other black colleagues. That's the only person that ever had a conversation with about it, at my job. It seems as though they're uncomfortable with it. Like, makes them antsy. They don't want to. It's like they just turn their head. It's strange. Something this big, and yeah, none of my white colleagues or friends reached out to me about it or anything like that. It was dead silence on that.
Well, as far as I go, I'm sorry, I'll let you speak. Okay. I don't have any white colleagues or friends, so I really can't speak on it. But hearing you all talk, I would love to get, the perspective from a white person, and an understanding as to why, they treat us the way that they treat us. And, with that being said, a lot of times when we talk about racism, we assume that it's just white people, or the topic involves around white and black. But to be honest, well, from what I've seen personally, it's just not white people that we're getting the racism from. It's other nationalities, racist as well. I don't mean to go off topic a little bit, but me, I hang around a lot of, Mexicans, Latinos, and it's a lot of times where they say a lot of slick stuff that I wish I could say, but I don't want to say it during this recording. But I don't think of it at the time when they say it, but when I get by myself and I'm allowed to process, some of the things and rewind some stuff, I'm like, okay, I wish I would have caught that at the time it was stated. So it's like, as far as racism goes, it's just not what I've seen personally. It's just not from white people. It's from other races. So with that being said, why, out of all races, why are we the ones that's being picked on? Like I'm still trying to figure out, what is it about us that's unique? What is it that we don't see?
Well, man, I had to jump in. A lot of us don't know who we really are. And even I haven't done the full research to know who I really, truly am. Because regardless of what anybody says, bro, or sir, young king, we are the original. That's what we are. And a lot of people do know that, but because we don't know, they treat us a certain kind of way. Back in the old days when they were formulating this paperwork and these documents to figure out how they was going to run this corporation that they call America, we weren't anything. We were property. They slowly tried to make us feel like we were human, but we have only been property to them from day one. We are just a piece in their little puzzle. We just a little pawn to them. So that's why they treat it that way. Their minds are conditioned that way. And they don't see wrong in that. And they're like, well, I mean, you ain't never been nothing. You ain't never really gonna be nothing. I mean, we let you in. I mean, even though we took your stuff, we let you back in your stuff with conditions. So stop getting carried away. That's why they trying to tell us, shut up and play, shut up and dribble, and just shut up, make us our money.
That's what go back home is. Just be happy that you in the best country in the world. That's what go back home is. That when you to have the audacity to say that to somebody is to tell me I should be honored to live in this free land. So shut up. Why am I complaining? And when I'm asking for equal rights.
Something that was promised to me. Something, where's my 40 acres and a mule? I mean, where is that at? Like, come on. They conditioned. And it's been, we in 2020, so they feel like, well, look, shoot, they've been conditioned this long. We just keep on giving them a runaround. Something happened, we march with them. We're going to say we want this, we want that. Any black or anybody who's supporting you all, we're going to go and knock them off. And then, show you a little sympathy and act like it never happened. I mean, shoot, even if we get a white person that's kind of rocking with y'all, we're going to knock him off too, because he might as well be you.
It's just so. But I think you answered one part. I think it's a two-part answer, Burvick, to what you said. I think a large part of it is spiritual and us being a chosen people. But if you don't even want to go down that road, we are the most influential people on the planet. And I'm not talking about people of African descent. I'm talking about African Americans. And African Americans is the youngest race on earth by far. It's not even close. Australia, they built Australia and put people there so long ago. Australians, Asians, people from South America, people from Africa, people from Hawaii before it was named that, people from Alaska, all these different people have been around for thousands of years. We are the only species of people, because make no mistake about it, we're a different race than Africans. Like you just said, Jamal, you said you don't know all your history. I know even less of mine than you. I guarantee you, because I haven't even done that research. I'm so far disconnected with African, my African heritage. That's a whole nother race. I can't tell you what my great granddad did for remedies when somebody was sick. I can't tell you about them stories. I can't tell you why we do this in the family. I don't know none of that because we're so young. The African American race is not even to a point of teenage years yet. If we're talking about worldwide, we are still in the adolescent stage. So that's why when we make these mistakes we make as Black people, it's fine. We are toddlers trying to figure out, we're going against a catastrophic scheme to keep us out of the mix. And there was no pool for us to take from. There was no dad to say, Dad, how do you do this? We didn't have a dad. We had to figure out, okay, this is what dad is. And a large part of that we got from watching a white dad. So the first 200-300 years was figuring out how to live. Then it was figuring out how to live like them. And then it was trying to figure out how to live free without getting killed. So we asking for equal rights, but we don't even want that. We just don't want to be persecuted. Because equal rights is so far away. And equal rights, I couldn't handle equal rights. I wouldn't worry about a bill. If I had equal rights, I ain't worrying about a bill. I'm not worrying about rent. With the type of talent that I have, the type of people who I talk to, the type of ways that I can change and affect the world, if we talking about equal rights, I wouldn't have to worry about that. But a part of me not have to worry about that is not just me, it's 2 generations of my people not in jail or prison. And even if they wasn't in prison, they went into the jail system just based on how y'all built it. So
Right.
And I don't even know where I started with this, my bad, but we so young as a race. And like, so as all this new stuff coming out, stuff that I already knew is making me more angry or making more sense to me. We are really that young of a race. And these are people who really said, you know what? Here's what we'll do. We'll start them as kids, every race, telling them, this was a great man who discovered this country and this land for us to stay in. They made a conscious decision to teach that at a young age. And we're talking about a rapist, a man who absolutely desolated an entire country of people and made them assimilate through fear and violence. If that happened, it happened. But these people made the choice to turn that into a fairy tale for somebody to worship. Just small stuff like that.
And called it Thanksgiving.
One of the most celebrated times of get together and family known country nationwide is predicated on a man who absolutely destroyed a race of people, not just with guns and sitting down. He was an astronomer, so he knew the skies. So he would tell them when eclipse was coming and all that. The evil, like this country was just built on evil. And this stuff happens, I understand that. But like I said, the more stuff that's coming out to me, you telling me I'm living in a free country, but I can't do something why am I having a conversation with you about kneeling? I have a job. I'm doing my job. I'm doing my job better than you could ever do it. Why are we having a conversation about what happens before I even start that job? Why are you going to tell me that a man who did all this was a savior to a country? Why are you upset that I'm taking down a statue of somebody who enslaved my people who you don't even know and you don't even know the history about? You just want to keep holding on to the power and the entitlement that you have. Sorry, y'all.
Oh, it's all good. Because I have a question. I have one that I thought on my car ride yesterday. And then we're going to get back. I mean, it's still on the topic that we're on. But personally, I feel most men of color, most of us Black men, when we get together, we're already natural creators. But when we get in a group, we motivate each other. We're always competitive, not in the bad way. Like, yeah, I'm gonna beat you. You ain't cold, but like we use each other. We use our energy to better ourselves. And I feel like the pandemic and the racism isolating us and keeping us confined into one space, and this is all we have is technology to rely on to actually come together, is trying to also dismantle our race and hinder us from progressing. Because, I mean, when you think about it, whenever you're in prison and you do something wrong and they send you to solitary, most of the people that go into solitary and they spend too long, they end up coming out crazy. They end up coming out not normal and wanting to kill themselves. Like the one gentleman from New York, I can't remember his name right now. Innocent black man, didn't do anything wrong, but because somebody said that he robbed him, they took him to jail. He went to Rikers Island, and he spent, I think, 3 to 5 years in Rikers Island with hardcore killers. And then he ended up getting out.
Khalid or Khalil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him. And he comes out and he comes home and he don't feel right. He feel like he lost his whole childhood. And he ended up killing himself. And it's like, I don't want to go out like that. I don't want us to go out like that. And I just want to know, do y'all feel like that? Do you feel like them, with the racism and the pandemic and everybody being isolated, that'll make us stronger or break us? I don't know. I'm the type of person, I thrive off of competition. It pushes me to another level. Deadlines, and it motivates me. I don't normally fold when I'm like, oh yeah, let's get it. But when I'm alone and it's discouragement, it's like, oh man, dang, can I really do this? I think I can. It's like it's hard for me to find the drive and the motivation, and I don't know. That might just be me, but I was just wondering if any of y'all have that outlook or perspective.
I think it's a timetable thing with that, because depending on how long it's go, I mean, just the everyday life of just talking about what's been going on has been covered up with Jada and Will. You know what I mean? Is the longer it goes on without something major happening, I think the less power it has. Because us being home and everybody commenting and everybody coming together and actually watching it, like you said, we were able to progress. But the longer time goes, because we stay in a instant society, we want it right now. Everything we want is right now because we feel like we have the ability to get it right now. So if it ain't happening right now, LeBron do something crazy tonight, more black people are going to have more focus on that the next 2 weeks than the social injustices. So it's a timetable thing for me to figure out where we're going to land. It's a crapshoot to figure out where we're going to come out. When is it going to be the time when the next big thing happens? Are we going to be ready for it? Or are we going to have to go back into the mold that we just went in March?
Well, I would say this. We are only alone if we allow ourselves to be. Because with the society that we live in and the ability to connect like we do, there's no real reason for any of us to feel alone, as long as we are willing and have the knowledge on how to reach out to one another. Because even in this tonight, we have not only talked about certain things, but we are collaborating on ideas in order to strengthen and bring us together, right?
Right.
Right. So because of that, love will always find a way, and God always finds a way. So as long as you continue to seek God, there will always be a way for collaboration. Because you're right, when in isolation, because I've experienced this myself personally, when in isolation, you are alone with your thoughts. There's no uplift. When you don't have the energy to uplift you, who can, right? Which is why the songwriter said, sometimes I have to, encourage myself sometimes. But even that gets hard after a while. So we do need things like this in order to come out. But if you don't reach out, if you don't go forward, if you just try to stay in your little bubble, then it does become nearly like a death sentence. But I think coming together like this, working on different projects together, just being able to see and talk to each other. Because even this is better than being on the phone, right? Because I'm able to see everybody's expressions. I'm able to hear your voices. I can almost feel your energy. It's not as good as being in the same room, but it's gonna have to do for now because we're trying to be safe. So I agree with Jamal. Coming together makes one feel better and can move forward. But that only happens when you have the knowledge and also the, I guess you could say, drive or want to connect to one another. And I think that we as men have a hard time doing that because we're told, oh, you need to go at it alone. Or, oh, you talking about, oh, you rolling with all these dudes, you not hard, you not strong or anything like that. We have to come together, right? So yeah. Long as we keep coming together, they can't stop us. They can't stop us.
Yeah, definitely agree with coming together. But on the flip side of things, I feel like everyone personalities vary, and there are a lot of people who are actually striving in this situation. They've slowed down. They're able to reflect on their thoughts and then reach out and reconnect to other people, or even work on themselves where they can come up with ideas themselves that they are able to push out. Because some people are able to thrive in groups, whereas others, they thrive by themselves. So I feel like the time that we've gotten that we were able to disconnect allowed some of us to find out who we truly are and where we can actually thrive and be most effective. So I think with everything, there's always another side of the coin, and that's my take on it.
Yeah, personally speaking, I, I'm kind of a mixture. I like to be alone, but at the same time, I do like to be surrounded by other people, especially, if they're giving off, positive energy. Um, through this pandemic, I have had moments where I feel like, man, I wish, I can hang with such and such, or, I wish I can speak with such and such, because sometimes I do feel as if we do need that, in-person interaction, right? But at the same time, I am also thankful for it. As painful as it can seem sometimes, because, when I do get by myself, I do think a lot. I think about certain things that I shouldn't think about. But the thing about it is God has exposed some things about me that I didn't know that I was dealing with. So now that he's exposing, these things, it's like, wow, okay, I didn't know I was doing this, or I didn't know that I was like that. So now that I'm having this alone time, with that being said, I'm not spending as much time with God as I should. Honestly, we all should. I mean, we have no excuse, now, but I am thankful for it. And again, I do have my days, but because though this pandemic was because I do believe it's man-made, the coronavirus, it is in fact man-made, but I feel that God used it to get man's attention, right? So we was all moving at a fast pace. We was all robots to society, but God is using this pandemic to slow us down. He's shutting everything down from the corporate things to the little things. I mean, stuff is pretty much open at the moment, but in a lot of ways, God is simply trying to get our attention. So I do have my days where, like, man, I just, I wanted to go back to the norm, but when thinking outside the box, it's like, okay, God, I see what you are doing, and it's basically Him, just trying to redirect our, our focus, So when I look at it from that aspect, it's not so bad, because we do need to be, refocused, and, our, mind, heart, and soul set on him, especially with the times that we're living in. Because if today is like how it is today, I can't imagine tomorrow or even the days ahead. So, yeah, for me, it's not that bad.
Right, because I mean, always going to be noise. There's always going to be noise surrounding us. It's going to be up to us to tune in to what's in front of us. I mean, because it's going to be bumps. We're going to have to go through the bumps. We're going to have to. I remember Pastor, she was preaching one day, or no, it was Pastor Shazetta, Reverend Shazetta. She was saying, you're going to be on the path, but you got to make sure you got your weed whacker and you're praying and let God lead you. You're gonna have to cut through some weeds, but as long as we lean not on our own understanding, that's what I keep telling myself. I was like, I can't lean on my own understanding. I can't compare and contrast. I mean, I can, but I just gotta, as crazy as it is, as in I'm referring to the world, as crazy as the world is, I have to put my faith and my trust in God, with everything, with this pandemic, with the normal stuff. Because everybody facing the pandemic, just like everybody is facing something in their life that somebody doesn't know about. We all got our problems. We all imperfect. It's something messed up with us. It's something. Everybody got something. And for those who has a woman, something wrong with your lady. But we're a partner. We're a partnership.
For sure.
I'm just being real. Look, everybody has something wrong with them, but it's about what can you handle what's wrong with them? Can you uplift them when there's something wrong with them? Can you understand what's going on with them and be willing to work through it? Whatever it is, relationship, life, faith, all of that. It's something. And we can't sit around and compare and contrast or say, well, they ain't doing this and they not doing that, but they not Jason. They not, is it Nathaniel or Nathan? They're not Beverly. They're not Jamal.
Either works.
Oh.
So they not us. So we can't compare ourselves to them, and we can't lean on our own understanding and think, yo, if it ain't like this, then it ain't right. Because we don't know all the answers. We don't know the future. We can have a feeling, and we can be hopeful, and we can pray, and we can believe. And good things come to those who wait. We just don't know how long we got to wait. And I ain't saying wait for justice. I mean, I ain't saying, keep letting them hang us and kill us until something change. I ain't with that either. But we have to be proactive. We can't allow ourselves to hinder our goals and our accomplishments for the wrong reason. But we still must stand up for what we believe in. It's hard, because that's like saying, well, in the right to kill, somebody was about to kill his daughter. He's like, man, I'm about to go knock these people off. You ain't gonna do this to my baby. But that's a sin though, right? That's wrong. It's like, well, Lord, dog, you gonna hate me if I... But, I mean, we just normal men trying to be perfect when we know it's impossible.
Well, just a question. Didn't God give a lot of people the power and okay to kill other people? I'm not trying to call us murderers, but God chose the side on the war. No? That's how I be thinking sometime too, and not yo, I'm about to go get the strap. But God chose, no, for real. He told certain leaders, go against the people. How you defeat them. You know what I mean? So that's just hearing y'all talk, because sometimes I get outside of my faith, and just hearing the last two people talk, y'all kind of incorporated God in y'all answers more than I did in anything that I've said. So thank y'all for that. That kind of helps me and brings me back. But sometimes I struggle with that, because it's just what God did choose a side. And a lot of times I'll be thinking and that's maybe racist of me. Sometimes me going back to, I think very highly of my people, but then there's something biblical about it. I also think we the chosen people. So it's a thin line between racial pride, racial arrogance, and racial ignorance. But I say all that to say, I do think, I'm sorry, I do think we God's chosen people. It's too many parallels between us here and them leaving Egypt. So I do think we are powered by God in whatever we do. I'm not saying inside a war, but what I am saying is I do think that God is with people and has historically been with people in literal wars.
Yeah.
Um,
And I'll say
oh,
I can. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You can go.
no, I'll let you speak.
Okay. I'll say that I can concur with that perspective, because at the same time, as crazy as it is, I'm not even gonna say this about people that have died, because that sounds so insensitive to people that have died for our cause. But I also believe that sometimes God allows messed up stuff to happen because it takes someone to see, someone to feel, and to really understand what's going on. And, and sometimes the loss resonates more than a spoken word can do. And sometimes I feel like just the spoken word is enough, because for some, that's all you need. While some, they don't believe it unless they can touch it, feel it, and taste it, and smell it. So I feel like sometimes some things do happen, not because God was like saying, like, yeah, I don't care about you, yeah, you're gonna die, but because he needs them up there with him more, and it's gonna serve more for the greater good than it would if they were here. I don't know how to make that make more sense. I hope y'all, not cussing me out in your heads or nothing. But I don't know. That's one of my outlooks. I have to think.
I put it like this. We are looking at things at a ground view level, because we're like, oh, well, God has taken sides, or God did this, or God did that. And, some people say, well, God was wrong for doing these things, or how could a just God do these things? Or one of the things you hear is like, why would God do that to these kids? Or why would God do that to these people? But we have to understand that God is looking from a view that we will never have. God is controlling the entire field. As much as God is on our side and on our behalf, he's over there too, because he's the God of everything. Not some people or these chosen people, but he is the God of everything. Everything is to his will and to his liking, right? I mean, take a look at Job. Job was on his deathbed. Everything was taken from him. His wife and kids were all killed. His wealth was taken away from him. And he had his 3 friends talking about, you must have did something. You must have did something. Ain't no way that a good person would have all of this happen to them and you ain't did nothing. So you know what? You ought to just curse God and die, because all you're going to do is suffer. And Job was almost there, because he asked God, talking about, I will sit right here until God gives me an answer. And God came, and God gave him an answer. He's like, Job, where were you when I created the stars and the heavens and the moon? Job, where were you when I created these things and put these things in motion? You don't have the same view that I have. There's no way that you could. So how dare you ask me about what I am doing, because I'm doing something that you will never understand. Now, I know to a lot of people that seems dismissive, but that also means that because he's able to see things that we can't see, he can say, you know what? talking about, man, I sure wish I could have went to that thing tonight. But oh, when you look at the news, the thing you was trying to go to, somebody got shot up, somebody was killed. Or, man, I sure did want to go over here, but on the way over there, somebody had an accident. So he protects us from things that we can't see.
Yeah, we cannot
move away from things that we don't have any business being in our relationships. That woman or that person that we were holding on to, there was like, man, I sure did go through a hardship, but I wasn't supposed to be in that relationship to begin with, right? So even Job, being talked to by God, had to repent because he couldn't see God for who he truly was, right? So that's how I think about it. I'm just like, if we see God for who he truly is and truly seek his face, like truly seek his face, then all the other things will be added to us. Yes, we have to fight for our justice. Yes, we have to do these things, but sometimes the battles are not with men and what they believe, is with powers and principalities. And that's what we're truly fighting against. So y'all can take that as you will.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that because we also have to, I'm pretty sure we know this, but God's ways are not our ways. I've come to a point in life where I no longer, I'm not saying that I don't have my days, because I do, but I'm getting to a point where I'm too much not questioning God. It's more so understanding, hey, things happen for a reason. So just, roll with the process. There's this book I'm reading called The Bait of Satan, and I forgot the author's name. It's a shame that I don't know his name, but he said something key within the book, and I can't quote it exactly like how he quoted, but he stated that you can't go through life and not expect trials and tribulations, right? So you mean to tell me, okay, I'm gonna have to deal with this no matter how I try to avoid it? I could try to make a left or a right, go up and down. No matter what direction I go in, I'm still gonna, come across this problem or any situation, no matter what form or fashion it comes in. So it's like, at this point, I too much don't question God. It's more so, what is it? What is it from this situation that I need to learn? What is it that you want me to understand, right? So, because I used to be a big complainer and, question God. And, I question God so much to the point where I'm just exhausted, because I'm never going to understand, fully understand his ways, because his understanding is, words can't describe his understanding, right? You can sort of put a limit on our understanding and, man's wisdom, but God's wisdom is, beyond this earth or beyond this world. Yeah. So, that's how I look at it. You can't expect to go through life without trials and tribulations. So you're going to face them, whether you like them or not. So, just roll with the punches.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that, it really resonated with me when you spoke about questioning God. And that was something that I always did as well. And I would always feel bad about questioning God. And I think it was once when Pastor Burns was preaching, and she said, yeah, sometimes we ask God why, but why can't we ask him why? He's our God. We should be able to ask him anything.
Yeah.
So if something happened and we feel a type of way about it, and he's our Father, why can't we ask him why? We're not cursing him. We just want to know why it happened. And most times when we do, eventually he reveals it to us. So, I really came to grips with asking, questioning him and seeing that it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And, God puts us in certain situations to where he wants us to question him, right? Because that's also his way of, him, you know, um, trying to spark that conversation or that connection, with them. You know, I'll use myself as an example. I always told myself, man, I'm not gonna smoke, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna try and be as healthy as I possibly can be. But yet suddenly I'm in the hospital due to a collapsed lung, right? So it's like, okay, I didn't do these things, but yet this still happened. The things I avoided purposely, I still got like the negative effects from those things, though I never engaged, in those things, right? Well, I'm trying to make sense here, but it's, during that whole week in the hospital, I never talked to God so much in my life. And, it's been many sleepless nights and, it's, I mean, at this point, it is okay to question God because that is what he wants us to do, right? But
Question without blame.
right.
Without placing blame.
Right.
Yeah, because
that's something we got really bad.
Yeah, because
So,
we gotta grow through what we go through.
Mm-hmm.
We can't just it ain't just gonna be no. We gotta actually, like if we did something wrong, then we know as a child, you watching TV and you ain't finish your homework, you're grounded. Hey, don't try to get out your punishment because you try to finesse your way out the punishment. Now you got 2 times the punishment.
but I think sometimes we get caught up when bad stuff happened to us as looking at us as a punishment. So for you, Burbage, and your instance with that collapsed lung, you said you stay away from all that stuff. Now you stayed away from that because your understanding of God and your faithfulness to him. Imagine if you hadn't have done that. You could be dead. Instead of your lung being collapsed and then you being saved by the grace of God. Because you did what you're supposed to do, your miracle started 15 years ago when you made those decisions.
Wow.
So sometimes we don't, that's the way I kind of been looking at it. Like miracles happen every day. If I've been in car accidents that if I had stayed in work a little longer, then I wouldn't have gotten in that car accident, but that's just small scale. People die every day. Natural disasters and things happen every day. So I think a lot of the times, and this is why, and then because I had my own problems, but I never really had a questioning God thing because I've just always felt like I don't know what he's doing, but he don't really mess with me like that. Like God don't really like, I'll show you. I've had some times in the valley, but even then I didn't feel like he wasn't with me. But I feel like more so because we fairy tale and we've made it tangible with miracles. The miracles that God does, most of God's miracles, we'll never know. We'll never know. You'll never know when you started that at 15, when you made that decision to go down that road to live as healthy as possible, that would affect your whether you live or die in your 30s, bro. So when you come to a crossroad like that, so for me, I was at a point recently where I was dead, bro. I ain't had nothing. I ain't had no leads for nothing. Everything had kept going bad. At one point, fam, I had 4 jobs and I still couldn't keep up. I'm like, dang, I don't get paid enough. All this is happening. All this is happening. But he could have turned my heart cold the first time I had no money. And I went out there and done something that I wasn't supposed to do that would have landed me in jail further behind or that got me killed. At the point where I was, where I need to get this, because I had my faith in him, that was my miracle. Because it ain't nothing for me where I stay. It ain't nothing for me to plot when you leave from the crib, Mr. White man, Mr. White family. I'm just being honest with y'all. That's just an environment that I was raised in. So I'm very aware of my surroundings. If I need some money, I can figure out a way to get some money by any means. But the miracle that God placed in me is, nah, I'm going to keep you away from that. I'm going to keep your heart pure enough to keep you away from that, to keep you around. So I'm going to keep your heart pure enough, perfect, so that you try to stay away from these things. Even if you slip up, you try to stay away from these things. So when it comes to a point where something in your body, or organ in your body has failed you, you won't have complicating issues with that. I've already given you your miracle. Don't ask me how. Double entendre, don't even ask me out. That's how I feel about God. I just had this conversation with somebody previously, and I said, because he was having these same questions, and he's going to school for theology, and he was just like, why and all this. And I ended the conversation with, who's all knowing? He said, God. I said, who wants to be all knowing? He said, I mean, everybody. I said, that's false. Please don't tell me. Because I for real. But if somebody was like, yo, world hunger is in your hands, bro. I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what to do. A baby's going to die every day. I don't want that on my conscience to have to think about why that happened. The only person who's supposed to know why things happen in the way that they happen is God. The only thing that you can do while you in here is try to live your destiny and understand that it's already written. So when it comes to people questioning God, even if you question him and he give you an answer, for one, he don't work linear. So he's not on our timeline. So you're not going to get it even when you want it. You're going to get the answer when you're not even thinking about it. You're not even going to think about what you question from God. Then he's going to give you an answer. Years later, whenever they come, that's when he's going to give you an answer. So he don't have to answer to you, but ain't nothing wrong with you asking him why. Because God is always going to give you clarity, but he's going to give it to you, how he's going to give it to you, and when he's going to give it to you. And you'll never understand why he did what he did. If you did understand that, you would be all-knowing. And there's only one who is all-knowing. So I'm saving you. Listen, Dad, can I go down the street and play basketball with them? Nah, you can't go down there. I ain't played basketball in 2 weeks. I do everything I'm supposed to on my report card. I clean my room. You can't go down there. What you don't know is I'm saving you from getting involved with them and you getting in gang activity that's going to change the rest of your life. But I don't have to explain that to you. You cannot go down there. You can ask me why you can't go down there, but because I said so, because I don't think that is best for you. So sure, ask me, but you don't have to understand why I made the decision that I made, because your brain couldn't even process it. As a 4-year-old, why I have to be so careful when I cross the street. I'm just running over there to my mom and dad. They're right there. They're 20 feet away from me. But I cannot process why it's so important for me to literally look left and literally look right. So for me to even, sure, my 3-year-old now can ask me, why, Dad, why we got to look both ways when we cross the street? You got to make sure ain't no cars coming. He's not going to process that the same way as me telling a grown man, yo, it was 9 deaths here last month from people at this intersection alone. So even when you question him, you'll never understand why. He might give you an answer, but you're not going to understand why he did what he did, because he is all knowing. And it's not for you to know. It's for you to follow. It's my perspective. And by the way, I got to tuck my little man in the song. I just don't want me to disappear and y'all be like, yo, where he go?
No sweat. I think we're almost basically to an end. Pretty much. If no one has anything else to add in, only thing I'm gonna say is we can't lean on our own understanding, man. I mean, that sum up everything. As soon as we think we got it, we lost.
Yeah.
As soon as you think you cold and you got it and you don't need no help, that's when you lose. So we can't lean on our own understanding. I appreciate y'all, gentlemen, man. This was very, very motivational and inspiring. So,
I loved it, man. Can somebody pray us out?
Josiah, you volunteered yourself.
Yeah.
Nah, I volunteer for somebody to do it. I said for somebody. I said, I'll pick an eeny, meeny, miny, mo. There it is, birthday boy.
Oh, come on now. But y'all pray us out. Everyone bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, as we come before you, we would like to give thanks unto you. I want to thank you for blessing us with this day, God, and most importantly, want to thank you for hearing this prayer. God, just want to thank you for allowing us young Black men to come together and have this uncomfortable conversation. We want to thank you for the wisdom you have shown in this conversation, God, and we ask that, that we take these learnings, God, and we apply it like never before to our everyday lives, God. We want to thank you for the things you have done, the things you will do, God, and just continue to strengthen us, continue to mold us, God, and give us a new set of hearts, God, a new set of minds, God, continue to change our thinking process, God, and just removing anything that's not of you, whether that's in the mind, heart, or soul. We want to ask that you forgive us of the sins that we have committed, God, the seen and the unseen. In Jesus' name, we all pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Yeah, this was wonderful, guys.
Appreciate y'all. Jamal, you still on mute? You're on mute.
Oh,
There
no.
we go.
I was saying, yeah, thank you, y'all. It was great. Very moving and cleansing. And I mean, I hope, whatever it is everybody's going through, that like I keep saying, we just try not to lean on our own understanding. And if it's something negative, don't let it take your joy away. And
Amen.
keep asking for strength and guidance. Because I mean, I'm talking for myself, and I mean, if y'all can relate, I'm talking to y'all too. But I love y'all, and y'all stay safe. And again, I can't say no more that I appreciated it. It was good. I needed this.
Love you, young kings, man. Y'all enjoy. Hey, enjoy your birthday, Burby.
All right,
Yeah.
appreciate it, y'all.
I hope I see y'all soon.
Huh?
I said, don't do nothing we wouldn't do.
Nah, bro.
No.
Do what I'll do, bro. All right, y'all.
All right, y'all.
All right.
All right.
Cool.